Hello, it's Dr. Mike here again with another medical 3D printing video, and today we're going to talk about how to use the free service on Embodied to convert a CT scan or a CAT scan into a 3D printable model of muscles, as you can see here on the left, and of skin, as you can see here on the right. Now, you may have been following my previous videos where I talked about how you can use this free service on Embodied.com to create 3D printable bone models, but you can also use it to convert a medical CT or CAT scan into muscle models. You can see here the details of the knee and the thigh are shown really incredibly, and also of the skin. So in this case I took a CT scan of the head and used the skin to create a 3D printable model, and this actually makes a mask. It's like a life mask, or a sort of like a carved bust out of the data from the CT scan. So you can do this for yourself, or if you have a loved one, maybe somebody who's passed away, you can use this to create a replica, 3D printed replica of their appearance from an old CT scan. So without further ado, let's get started, and I'll show you how to do this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open Slicer, and if you recall from my prior videos, Slicer is a free medical 3D printing. Actually, it's not medical 3D printing, it's medical research. You can go to slicer.org and download it, and it's used for imaging research, and it's free. What we'll do is then I'll have you open the tutorial file pack. So if you click on the link below, there'll be a file pack where you can download the files and follow along. So the first thing we're going to do is there are two DICOM image sets in the file pack. The first one we'll do is STS004. Just drag and drop that onto the Slicer window, and Slicer will start to load that CT scan into the Slicer database. So of course this is all similar to the things I've talked about in the prior videos. Again, you want to download the file pack. The link is below, and that will allow you to follow along with this tutorial, and you can create the 3D printable models yourselves, and I think it gives you a lot better understanding about how to do this. So briefly, if you haven't already, register for an account on Embodied.com. It's free. It only takes a minute to register. And you can take a look at my previous tutorials on 3D printing in medicine, especially this one, a ridiculously easy way to convert CT scans to 3D printable bone STL models for free in minutes. This is a great tutorial that shows you exactly what to do. You can go to your hospital, get a CD with your CT scan on it if you've had a CT scan taken in the past, and it shows you everything you need to do to create a 3D printable model, STL model of your bones. Okay, so it looks like Slicer is done. So we're going to go ahead and show the DICOM browser. Here's our STS04. Click load, and our CT scan will be loaded, and you can see that this is a CT scan of a person's legs, and in fact this is a 24-year-old patient who has a sarcoma, which is a kind of tumor. You can see the tumor right there in the hamstring muscles on the right hand side. Here's that tumor right there. So what we're going to do is use this software to create a replica of these muscles. So what I'm going to do is go to in Slicer, go to volume rendering, and click this eyeball to turn on volume rendering, and then go over. You see that things show up. A volume rendering of the model shows up over here, and you want to click this center button to center on the volume rendering. Now if you don't have this particular view, recall that you can click on this menu item and you can change the views to a variety of different layouts. Okay, and the one that I like to work with is one called 4UP. So that's what we're working with today. Okay, so we've got our 3D rendered view. Now what we're going to do is we're going to crop this volume. So I don't want to 3D print the entire legs. I want to just do the thigh on the right hand side. So I'm going to click RY visibility. Once I go to the crop volume module, which is right here, and now we're going to take this square region of interest and we're going to kind of narrow it down so it just goes to the area that we're interested in, around the right thigh and leg. Okay, so I'm going to kind of narrow that down. And I'm interested in the muscle, so there's some fat around here. You know, this lighter gray is the muscle, this darker gray is the fat, and then of course the black stuff is the air. This is a table that the patient is resting on while they're getting the scan, so we don't necessarily want that to be included. Alright, let's make sure that everything fits. Okay, that's the knees. And that should be pretty good. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. Okay, so that will encompass the area that we want on our model. So now we're going to click this crop button, and that will trim everything off except for the area that we want. Okay, so we've created a subvolume now, and I'm going to go to the volumes menu, and just for the sake of simplicity I'm going to rename it. So the whole scan is called CT Images-Research, and then the part of the thigh is called CT Images Research Subvolume Scale 1. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to click rename the current volume, and let's call it, make it somewhat descriptive. So let's say right thigh, and click OK. Alright, so now our right thigh is called right thigh, and we're going to click Save. You click the Save button up here, and the Save window comes up. There's a whole bunch of files that can be saved, and we're not really interested in any of those. You can deselect them all. One we want is this one called right thigh. Click that. It's going to save it in the NRRD file format, and then it's going to save it in a certain directory, and we want to change that directory. So I'm going to change that directory to the one called tutorial. Choose that and click Save. Now what will happen is if we go back to our tutorial, we'll have this thing called right thigh NRRD. So that looks great. I'm going to minimize slicer and go to embodied.com and click on Imaged and launch the application. And again, you have to be logged in to your Embodied account in order for this to work. If you're not logged in, it doesn't work. So you have to create an account and log in, and then drag and drop your NRRD file onto the application. Now bear in mind that this application only works, this service only works for converting CAT scans, CT scans. It doesn't work for MRIs. A lot of people will upload an MRI of the brain or something like that and expect that it'll work, and it doesn't. It's for CAT scans. So we're going to call this, what should we call this here? Tutorial right thigh. Put in some tags here. We're going to make an STL file, muscles, right, and put a little description. They were going to make this private. You have to specify a license type even though you're not sharing it just yet. And we're going to turn on image processing. It's very important you turn this on, otherwise it won't do anything. Okay, now we're given a couple choices here. Which operation do you want to do? we're taking a CT scan in NRRD format, and what are we going to convert it to? We're going to convert it to muscles in STL format. Now you can use bone. There's a bone that looks kind of smooth, highly detailed bone, skin, but we're going to choose muscle. Quality will be high. This threshold value doesn't really matter for this muscle operation, so don't worry about that. And for the time being, we're going to make this file private, and then I'm going to say save and submit. Okay. So now my NRRD file has been uploaded to the service, and it's going to process it, and within about 10 minutes or so I should receive an email that says that my file is ready for download. So that's great. All I have to do is wait. But in the meantime, what we can do is we can work on creating that face, the one with by using the skin algorithm. So I'm going to go back to Slicer and close out this scene. I'm going to go to File and say Close Scene. And we'll go back to our file pack. And I'm going to take this folder, this one called Mannix. This contains a CT scan of the head and neck from an anonymized research scan. And drag and drop this and click Load and copy. Okay, so now what's going to happen is we're loading up another CT scan, and we'll work on creating a 3D printable model of this person's face. So there are a bunch of files in this folder that need to be processed, so that'll take about a minute. In the meantime, we can go back and check out some of the tutorials. So there's this one on how to create bone files. There's this one on how to convert multiple files simultaneously. You can actually upload, 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 files all at the same time, and they'll all be converted. So that really makes it efficient if you have a lot of files to convert. And there's also an option, you can share your files with the community, or you can sell them to the community if you want to. And if you're not happy with your result, this tutorial shows you how to submit your files for reprocessing. So that's pretty cool. There's a lot of things you can do with this free service. And if you haven't already, if you go to the Embody.com website and click on download, there are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of files that you can download to 3D print yourself. So all of these files are downloadable. Most of them are free, and yeah, it's a great resource if you're interested in doing medical 3D printing for education, science classes, anatomy classes, patient education, all kinds of things. There's a ton of material here for you to download for free. Okay. Sounds like our file has finished processing, so now we're going to go to DICOM browser, click Mannix, and there are 4 series. The one we want is this one that's called AngioCT, and click Load. And the study will start to load into Slicer. This is a much bigger study than the legs. I think the reason is that the slices are much finer, so there are more of them. So just got to wait for that to load, and here we go. So we've got our 3 views of the head here. You can see there's IV contrast that's been given for this scan, but that doesn't really matter. So there's a brain, neck. Okay, now all we really want to do is we're using Slicer to make that NRRD file, which is an anonymized file format, and that's what's required to upload to the service. So we just loaded it in, and now we're going to save it. And we want to deselect that. We want to make sure that the one is checked that says NRRD. And where are we going to save it to? We'll save it to the tutorial. The tutorial folder, and choose that and click Save. And if we go to that tutorial folder, it should write this NRD file to the disk. And there we go. Here it is. It's called AngioCT. I'm going to rename that, and let's call that head and neck.nrd. Okay, so we're going to go back to the Embodied website and go back to Imaged. I'll launch the application. We'll take this head and neck NRD. Now remember, this is a CT scan, a CAT scan. It is not an MRI. MRIs don't work at this time. Drag and drop, and we'll say tutorial head and neck head neck STL tutorial. Okay, we'll copy this. We can see that it's uploading. We'll make the file private. I'll select a license type even though it's private, and that won't really matter. And what we're doing at this time is we're just waiting for the file to upload. This is about 83 or so megabytes, which is sizable. It's not too huge. I guess my internet connection maybe isn't the fastest. But so this is that scan, and this has IV contrast, and it's a great scan for doing this. But we're going to be converting this just to the skin. So let's see if we can actually see the skin by changing the window on this scan. Yeah. So we can see that there's some, I guess these are probably braces to make sure that the head doesn't move during the scan. They're kind of pushing up in the patient's ears over here. Still uploading, my goodness. So almost there. Yeah, but this will be a good scan to convert to a 3D model. And of course, if you're going to be doing a skin model, I think head CT scans are really the best one, because that allows you to show the face. You could, I guess, do a skin model of somebody's foot or their knee or something, but I don't really know what educational value that has. Okay, so it's uploaded now, and we're going to, our file is private. Oh, we have to turn on image processing, and we're going to select CT-NRD to skin. We're going to take a CT scan in an NRD file format and make an STL file of the skin. Quality high. Threshold doesn't really matter. Make the file private and click Submit. Okay, so now that is submitted for processing, and in about 10 to 15 minutes we should we should have a email in our mailbox that says that that we are good to go. All right, so I'm kind of curious as to whether the thigh has been completed. So let's kind of go back. I'm going to go to my profile and look at my files. Oh, look at that. Tutorial right thigh processed. So here's the right thigh. When the processing is done, it puts this processed on. It creates a new file, and it's called processed. Let's take a look. Hey, look at that. So this is our thigh muscles. Let's download that and have a closer look. So I'm going to download it. I'm actually going to close out or minimize slicer here. Show in folder. Let's take a look at the thigh in Meshmixer. All right. Well, as you can see, we have some incredible detail on the musculature of the thigh. Here's the patella. These are the quadriceps muscles, the vastus medialis, intermedius, and lateralis. There's the this is the patellar ligament, sartorius muscle right here, comes loops around right over here. The gluteus maximus muscle here, the hamstrings, we can see. Now remember, this patient had a tumor in the hamstrings, so there's a tumor in here. That's why it looks like it's bulging so much. And this is right here is the head of the gastrocnemius muscle. This is the main muscle in the calf. And even inside you can see that there see this thing right here? That's probably the popliteal artery. So this is an incredibly detailed 3D printable model of the muscles of the leg. Let's check this for errors and make sure that the model is error-free. So we'll go in Meshmixer, we'll go to Analysis, Inspector, and it says that there's one disconnected part, which we can probably fix. So you click that button and now it's fixed. And we can click on Save. And no, that's not what we want to do. We want to export that. Export to, you can choose a variety of different files. Let's call this right. Okay, so this is, here we go, this is now ready for 3D printing. Look at that, that's great. Okay, so that is our muscle. I wonder how our I wonder if our skin file is done yet. Let's take a quick look. Click refresh here. Okay, so our thigh is done processing, but our head and neck is not. Okay, well, I guess we only submitted it 3 minutes ago. Although the first one only took, you can see it was submitted 11 minutes ago and it was done 9 minutes ago. So it only took about 2 or 3 minutes to process. Let's take a little break for about 10 minutes or so and let the head and neck skin file process, and we'll come back and check it out. I'll see you soon. Hello, welcome back. Dr. Mike here again. Thanks for coming back, and I was just doing some serious doctor-related work there. It's actually been a bit more time than I had initially planned. You can see that we submitted this file about 39 minutes ago, and now it took about 15 minutes to process, but I've been unable to record because somebody has been using a power tool outside my window, so I wanted to wait until they were done with that, so I just stalled a bit. Anyway, we're back, and our head and neck tutorial file should be ready. So let's go ahead and click on that and take a look at what we've got. So this is looking pretty good. All right, let's download it and see what we've got with this file here. Now this is about a 92 megabyte file, so it's pretty sizable, but you can see that already the quality of this file looks pretty good based on these three-dimensional renders. All right. So here it is, head and neck. And let's open that with Meshmixer. All right, come on, Meshmixer, you can do it. Meshmixer may take a minute or two to open the file, and here we go. So this is our skin file. You can see that there's a little bit of deformity. This is where that pillow or that stabilizing device was resting against the patient's ear. But you can see that that the detail is incredible. You can even see the contour, the veins of underneath the skin. You can see inside the nasal cavity. If you look on the bottom, we can actually even see pulmonary arteries, the arteries and veins of the lungs and the inside of the chest cavity. Here's the contours of the ribs as seen from inside the chest cavity. That's pretty incredible detail. So yeah, and then this can be 3D printed. That's really extraordinary. So you can see that in this tutorial we made both a muscle model as well as, here's our muscle model as well as our skin model from a medical CT scan. So that was all done for free, and you know, in about between 10 and 15 minutes on the free embodied service. So one other thing that I'd like to encourage you to do is, of course, register at embody.com and use this free CT scan to 3D printable model conversion service. But also, when you make your models, please share them with the community. And you can do that by, after you generate your model, you can change the privacy setting to shared. There you go. Or you can go to the Edit Details section and click on Share the File. And you can also choose a license type. You can use a free Creative Commons license if you like, or if you want, and if you don't want to share it for free, you can choose to have this be a paid file and specify the price. Make sure you choose a paid file license and click Save. And then what will happen is your file will it will be on sale on the Embodied site. So if you don't want to let it go for free, here it is. It's $4.99 now. But you know, I always prefer to let these go for free. I want to encourage as many people to download and use 3D printable models for medical education. So I'm going to make that available for free. I'm going to click Save. And if I click Refresh, you can see that, well, hold on a second. Let's make sure that I change that setting correctly. Should be free, private. Yep. And it should be, oh, here's the problem. I have to say share this file. Okay. There we go. And the file is available for free download. All right, let's refresh that. There we go, free download. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Please share your files as well, and let's also go back to that other muscle file that we did. Profile. And here it is, the right thigh tutorial. I'm going to make this public as well. Edit Details, and I'm going to say to share this file for free. And there we go. So now this file, if we go to our anonymous browser, should also be available for free download to the public, and indeed it is. Okay, so thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make and create 3D printable models from medical CT scans using the free Embodied service. We did muscle and skin files in this tutorial. If you like this tutorial, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. If you use this service to generate 3D printable models, please share them with the community for scientific and educational benefit. And as always, happy 3D printing.